What's up, capybaras? Welcome back to another episode of The Lone Roller. It is I, your host and player of this game, Leon. And where we last left off with Talti and Prayuh, they were going to the meeting place. But before that, they had some time on their hands where Prayuh coyly explained, while being vague, that he scouted the area first, and that's why Talti wasn't able to find him at all, and Talti wasn't able to find him, even though he ran into somebody that got to know Prayuh. But Prayuh was going covert, and he was scouting the location where they were meeting because it was already obviously discussed that night before, in that crazy night that Talti lost all his inhibitions with the allure of Emelina. And so Prayuh went in and scouted the location and did some things to probably sway a little insurance, if you will. And then after that, as they were waiting, Prayuh equipped Talti with a stun baton and then some armor. We're gonna call it like underclothing, like almost like a leather armor, something that it can easily be concealed, almost woven into not woven into the fabric, but can be concealed and worn underneath regular clothing, so it doesn't raise suspicion. And still, because of, I will say, Talti, and then there was that training with the use of the stun baton, which proved to be successful. So Talti will now have a proficiency based off of that training exercise that he did with Prayuh. And so it will not suffer any penalties if they do engage in combat, which, as we all know, we have yet to have any combat. It's all been just improv and role playing up until this point. So the fact that we have kept the show going without engaging combat has been quite brilliant for almost nearly 13 episodes, right? It's pretty funny. But with that said, we are preparing for we're preparing for the chance that combat might arise, because we are dealing with a person who is got very dark motives for the star system that they are in. And so these people are obviously going to protect that very, grim goal of theirs to thin out the population of the star system. And with that said, from the last scene, did Talti have control over the scene? And it really kind of just goes without saying that, I feel like that it goes without saying that Talti, let's see, he didn't really have control over the scene. He didn't really know what Prayuh was doing, how Prayuh was holding his cards close to his chest. So a theme that has been reoccurring with the people that Talti meets, they're very, what's the word I'm looking for? They're very clandestine, they're very secretive, they obviously don't trust, and especially when it comes to, unfortunately, in Talti's case, he's a politician. People don't really trust politicians in this star system, so that always keeps playing to Talti's disadvantage when interacting with non-politicians, non-bureaucratic people. All right, so with that said, does the chaos factor go up? And I will have to say, in this instance, it feels minuscule, but yes, the chaos factor now goes up, and it goes up to 7. Which means now there's a higher chance for altering a scene or interrupting a scene. So, Talti and Prayuh are heading over to the meeting place to meet with Emelina and the mediator, Vicente. Now, we test the scene. Does the scene proceed as expected with the meeting, or does something happen? with a chaos factor of 7, we have a quote-unquote 70% chance of that happening. It's a 1. It's altered. Okay, so now we have to see what alters the scene. So we rolled a 1, which means the scene is altered. How is it altered? And with that, we roll a d10. 7, make 2 adjustments. Oh, fun. Remove a character. Remove a character twice. Okay, remove a character came up twice. There are only 2 logical characters that are in this scene. That is the mediator Vicente, then that is Emelina, which means when Talti and Prayuh get there, they are led in. They go through the normal bits, the normal routine. They say why they're here. They talk to people. They talk to like the front desk person. They talk to any kind of guard, and they let them know why they're there. They are expected to be there. That much is happening, and they are they are led into the meeting room. However, when they get to the meeting room, it is neither Emelina nor the mediator Vicente. Talti and Prayuh look at each other, flabbergasted, stunned, and are very much confused. They exchange looks at each other, almost that Talti goes, "Prayuh, what is happening right now?" And Prayuh looks at Talti and goes, I don't know what's happening." So now here is the question. Was it an ambush? 50-50. Let's take a look. So on a chaos factor of 7, 50-50, I'm gonna say it's a very good chance that it's gonna happen. Yes, it is an ambush. So what ends up I can ask a follow-up question. Is Talti's identity compromised right now? Is he recognized? It is still he had a pretty good disguise, right? Like he was given a whole new identity, but was he recognized? That's about what is the likelihood of that? Is it 50-50 again, or is it a unlikely sort of situation? So part of me wants to just say 50-50. Was Talti's Sven disguise compromised? Wow. 74. Yes. So what happens is that there is a sound, the sound of a speaker turning on, and it's an unfamiliar voice to both Prayuh and Talti. The voice says, "Welcome, Talti. Welcome, Prayuh. It seems to me that you thought you could get a drop on me, but I will have to tell you. Obviously, it was you the entire time, Talti." Why did I give a bad voice? Feel like I can find a better voice. Like, Talti? Hmm. Yeah, I think we should just go with it. So he says, "Sven, Prayuh, it seems that you tried to get the jump on me. Your beating was nothing more than a facade. I saw right through that when I recognized the fact when your picture was brought to me, Sven, that you were really Talti this entire time." Sven, Sven and Prayuh look at each other and go, "Oh no, we've been duped." And what ends up happening is that the person on the speaker, which now it can only be assumed this is the mediator Vicente trying to kill Prayuh and Talti. He says, "Now my men will deal with you." And the armed guards come into the meeting room and have their firearms already trained. Now, here is the question. The way the room was set up, did Praya do something to this room that can change the battle, that can change the situation? He came in prepared. He and scouted this location. And with that as a question, did he do something to this room? And I will really want to call it likely. Let's call it likely on a chaos factor of 7. Did Praya do something to this room? We called it likely, chaos factor 7. It's an exceptional yes. Yes, he prepared something in this room that he that he uh set up to give him, if something, it was insurance, it was security, just in case if something went wrong, just like this, that they can that they can have a little bit of extra protection. So let's see, what did Praya do to the room? What can we call it? Okay, so it's an exceptional yes. So with that, Praya came into the room the night before, able to sneak in, and was able to rig something in the room that in case if something went wrong, they can get out of there. Now, we're going to say the number of guards that came in, obviously it has to be an overwhelming number, right? For now, let's call it 4 people. 4 armed guards come into the room to subdue and or maim and or kill Talti and Prayuh. And does, as a reaction, like almost like as a reaction roll, does Prayuh right away is able to activate everything? He rolled a high number. He rolled an 18 on his reaction roll, and with that, he is able to immediately hit a button on his multi-tool wristwatch that activates everything. What activates is that before he does any so he activates it and all the lights shut off, and he brings down Talti with him. He goes, Sven, get down! And he pulls Talti down to the floor, and then he hands him something. What he hands him are night vision goggles. So they are now able to see in the dark and get the advantage on the 4 guards with their arms, who are now looking wildly in the room, cannot shut. At the same time, the doors, I don't want to say they lock. What would be another advantage? So it's an exceptional yes. So yes, the lights shut off. They are able to get an advantage on them for at least 1 round where the guards won't be able to do anything, and then we'll roll a regular initiative roll after that. Or yeah, I kind of like that idea. So the lights shut off, and what ends up happening is that they are so confused that they, for let's just say 2 rounds, are not able to do anything right away because they are just that shocked. Okay, so here's what happens. Priya successfully turns off all the lights, and at the same time, the guards had already locked them inside the room so that there's no escape and that they can do what they can do. However, because now the lights are off, they are confused and they are worried and they're trying to hold themselves. Now, the question is, do they hold themselves? I'm not going to ask that question. What ends up happening is that they get to Priya, takes down. He's like, Sven, get down! And he goes, here, take this! And he hands them night vision goggles, so now they are able to see in the dark, and they will, let's say, take 2 rounds of combat before we have to roll initiative, because that, to me, that's the exceptional yes at this point. And he, Prior, like, no, he goes, get your stun baton out. This is what you're trained for, okay? Talti nods his head, pulls out his stun baton, and they now can see with the night vision goggles, they can see that everyone has their gun, the 4 guardsmen have their guns trained, looking around, trying to find them, just trying to be calm and listening to listening to anything. But they are not like super trained guards. They are just people, hired guns like anybody else off of the street. So we have to now roll for combat. Let's let Prayuh, who is trained, go first. Sneaking around the room, Prayuh goes up to the first guard and successfully whacks him with the stun baton. He rolls a 6. The person takes shock damage as well and just and then goes down to the ground. Prayuh comes up, now approaching the next guard. He rolls a 9. However, it is a miss, but he does a little bit of shock damage. The shock damage only does just 2. So it nips the guy and he goes, "What?" Points the gun and fires. So does the guy fire? Let's give him a disadvantage on that. Does he even does his we'll say that he takes a minus 4 penalty on that. Luckily, because of a minus 4, he does miss Talti. Now, I would love to ask this question. Does the bullet that he shoot end up shooting another person? We're going to call that unlikely. So, 74, unlikely. Chaos factor 7. The bullet just hits a wall, and that is it. So that is 1 round of combat. Now, Talti and Prayuh take another round of combat that they can do. Yes. So the other person that Prayuh goes up to, he misses him, but is still able to do another 3 damage to that person. Let's say it's the other person that Talti was. So he was able to do 3 more damage of non-lethal shock damage to that person. The other person goes like, what the hell? Now, let's give him a reaction roll. Again, rolled a 13. That is a... Yeah, that's on the dot. And he shoots his gun. With a minus 4 penalty, does he hit? He misses. We wrote the roll of 3. And we'll call that unlikely 95, exceptional no. And not only does he miss with an unlikely, yeah, it's an exceptional no. So no, not only does he miss it, but let's say he I'm trying to think, like, does anything else happen in this moment? Like, does it unlock? Does he accidentally shoot the doorknob off or shoot off the lock? So no, and he shoots off the lock off the door, so the door is actually opened at this. Can open up and be opened at this point. Let's do that. I love that. Okay, it's Talti's turn. He rolls a 19, bringing down the second person. Now there's 2 more people left. Now, at this point, now we can roll for initiative. So we'll just go down that list, starting with, and let me set up a sheet here on my end. Call it a combat tracker sheet. We'll do Prayuh first, then Talti, guard 1, and guard 2. And what we'll end up doing is what we'll say is that guard 3 and 4 went down. Alright. Rolling for initiative, you roll 1d8, adding your modifier of dexterity. Okay, starting with Talti, who doesn't have very good dexterity. He only has a very average dexterity. He rolls a 6. Same thing with Praya. He also has no modifier in his dexterity. He rolls a 5. All right, and then we'll just roll once for both guards. That just feels right. They also roll a 6. Okay, so between Talti and the guard, we'll roll again. Talti rolled a 5, and the guards roll a 3, which means that the guards will now go last. So Priya, the Priya will go first, Priya will go first, then Talti, then the guards. So Priya uses his move and rushes over to one of the guards. Let's say guard 1. Immediately readies his stun baton, rolling a 17 and an 8. With that crit, it's just like it takes down the guard. Boom! Just takes him down in one shot. And Pride just yells like, "Yeah!" It's like, "Get him down, Sven!" And Talti comes up, approaches, once rushes just almost in the same manner, albeit a little bit more sloppier, rushes the second guard and successfully connects the baton right into the guy's neck. Rolling at 8 as well, taking down the second guard. All the guards are now down. Talti and Praya have successfully taken down all the guards, and Praya just looks right out Talti, points at him. He's like, "Hey, look at me! Look at me! You freaking did it! Yeah!" Yes! We need to take their weapons and let's get the hell out of here and find this Vicente guy. For once, he says the name kind of right. So, they disarm the they disarm the guards, take some of their weapons and holster them onto themselves and run out and they rush out immediately, and they find that secretary who was she was probably, let's say, was she confident that the guards would have taken down Talti and Sven? I'll call that likely. She rolled a 13. Yeah, not only is she confident that it's an exceptional yes. All right, I think, yeah. On a likely, yeah, no, yeah. She rolled a 13. It's an exceptional yes. So yes, not only does she believe that those guards are going to take down Talti and Praya, she's also waiting there with Emelina. Of all the people, Emelina is there. Talti and Praya rush out of the door with firearms at the ready, and they come right out, pointing the guns at the secretary and at Emelina. Emelina shocked, as is the secretary, and they go, "Oh no," and they have their arms up, and Talti now looks at Emelina and goes, "Now it looks like you're under my control, Emelina, and I think it's about time you take us to our meeting with the mediator, Vicente." And she looks at him, now put on the other side of no control whatsoever. She has no choice now but to do what they say. And we're gonna call that is the end of the scene. Whoa, what the hell? we kind of predicted I kind of predicted the combat happening, and it ended up happening. And Talti and Prayuh were able to take down these guards and get the advantage of running into Emelina. This is great. Now, our next scene is going to pick up where now they will have to meet with the mediator Vicente. The deal is off. On the next time, Capybaras, follow me on social media, Alternative Zen on Twitter and on Instagram. I'm posting a lot now these days. So please come check me out. Check out my blog on Stillfoxes.home.blog. Capybaras, thanks so much. Until next time on The Lone Roller.